Hey friends, welcome back to another video. My name's Emma LaFave, and today I have finished my floral alphabet, my reels on Instagram, so I put the rest of the alphabet together in a video for you to watch right now. So let's jump in and get started. Back with our floral alphabet, onto the letter P, let's paint a poppy. Using my size 6 brush and a light wash of red, I'm just creating these very jagged kind of petals. I'm making sure to leave a lot of white space in the middle for the center of the flower. The center is more yellow and it doesn't like to layer over the red, so that's why I'm leaving the white space. Next, I'm taking a little bit more saturated red, and while it's still wet, I'm just creating these texture lines going down the petals, even a little bit more darker red towards the bottom petals. If it's looking a little dull, you could always add a little bit of yellow or even some orange. Next, take some green and create your stem. Take some lime green and create this kind of star shape in the middle. Then take your yellow and create some lines going around that green with some dots at the end. I used a little bit of white with my yellow to make it a bit more opaque. Here I'm just taking some darker red and going in between those yellow lines, as well as some more lines on the petals just to create a bit more texture and depth. P is for poppy. Today we're on to the letter Q, so let's paint some Queen Anne's lace. Using my size 2 round brush and some green, I'm just creating the stem and then a lot of little other stems coming off of it. Take note of those broken areas and spaces between the stems because that is where we are putting the little flowers. I mixed some yellow and white to create this color, and I'm just using a little dabbing motion to create these little flowers. Then I mixed a tiny amount of black to that color mixture to create a shadow color, which I'm just dabbing underneath those flowers for a slight shadow and depth. Lastly, just adding a few more stems, and that's it. Q is for Queen Anne's lace. Today we're on to the letter R, and we're going to be painting a ranunculus. Using my size 2 round brush and a lime green, I'm creating these small little curves going around in a circle. Then switching to the color pink, I'm just going to continue these C curves going around in a circle. This is a bit different than a rose because I'm making these strokes thinner and longer. While it's still wet, feel free to dab in some darker pink. Next, take your favorite green and create a stem, and you can also create some jagged little leaves. I like to add a little bit of darker green to the base of the leaves. Once everything's dry, I'll take a little bit more pink and add some more C curves for a bit of depth, and that's about it. R is for ranunculus. Floral alphabet, onto the letter S, let's paint a sunflower. Starting with some burnt umber and my size 2 brush, I'm painting kind of this half circle with a jagged bottom. It's going to be a tilted perspective. Then I added some sepia to the base and to the center and let it dry. Then I took some cadmium yellow and started to paint the petals. With a tilted perspective, you paint longer ones on the one side and shorter on the other side, and around the sides they're just slightly curving. Then I took some yellow ochre for the base of the petals and some olive green for behind the sunflower and the stem. I like to take a slightly darker color just to add a little bit of depth, paint some nice big leaves, again adding a little bit of darker green to the base, and finally just finishing it off with some dots towards the center and some more lines on the petals, and that's about it. S is for sunflower. Floral alphabet, onto the letter T, we're painting a tulip. With my size 6 brush, I start by painting a simple petal shape and then a C curve around that petal shape and then a little kind of dab at the top for a petal behind. I like to add some darker pink to the base of my tulip bud, and then I'll take my favorite green, create a thin stem, and then these long leaves using the light pressure, heavy pressure, light pressure stroke. Have it curve a little bit just to give it a bit of, flow. Once it's all dry, you can add a little bit of line detail to the tulip bud as well as the leaves, and that's about it. This is honestly one of the easiest flowers to paint. T is for tulip. Floral alphabet, onto the letter U, we're painting a Yersinia. I hope I'm saying that right. I really have no idea what this flower is. With my size 2 brush, I started with a yellow circle and just painted a little bit of yellow ochre around the edge of the circle. Then I took my cadmium orange and I'm just painting these petals that are going straight out. Then I took some dark red and added it to the base of all the petals. Then washing and drying my brush off, I'm just moving some of that red pigment down the petals just to kind of blend it into them just a bit. Next, I'm going to take like a darker purple color and I'm going to tap it into that kind of reddish area. And I'm going to do some dots around the center and like one darker dot in the middle. Lastly, taking my green, I'm creating a stem and then these spiky kind of leaves, and that's it. U is for Yersinia. I've never heard of this flower before. I hope I said that right. Floral alphabet onto the letter V, let's paint a violet. Using my size 6 brush and a light wash of purple mixed with a little bit of blue, I'm creating these almost bunny ear shape like petals, and then one large kind of diamond shape at the bottom. And then you're going to add 2 more to the sides. Making sure everything's wet, I'm going to go back in with some darker color, a bit more of a bluish purple, and just tap around the edges for a bit of contrast. Then I'm just going to remove some of the color from the center there with my clean, dry brush, and I'm just going to add a small bit of orange to the center and let it all completely dry. While it's drying, I'm just going to take some green and do a stem and then add this kind of big heart-shaped leaf. Then I'm just making the edges a little bit more jagged, and I'm going to make sure I add that stem connecting to the top of the leaf, and I'm going to go around with some darker green and add some veins as well on the leaf. Once everything's dry, I'm going to take a darker purple, add some lines there. You can even add some more darker veins to the leaf once that's dry, and then some lines along the petals. V is for violets. Floral alphabet onto the letter W, let's paint some wisteria. Using my size 6 round brush and different variations of purple, I'm just creating this kind of loose cone shape with some dots as the little petals. Make sure to leave lots of white space in between. Then using my olive green and my size 2 brush, I'm just going to create a stem going through the petals and then create some more smaller stems attaching to those individual petals from the main stem. Off of that main stem, I'm just going to create another little branch and some leaves, and then I'm going to even grab a little bit more color and tap it in, as well as some brown, and just make that a bit more of a brown branch. And that's honestly it. W is for wisteria. Floral alphabet onto the letter X. Did you know there's a flower that starts with an X? It's called Xanthisma. Using my size 2 brush and yellow, I just started by creating a small circle and then these kind of wispy, thin petals coming off of that circle. Creating a side view because it has a kind of cool side view, I'm just creating those wispy petals just to one direction. Taking some green, I'm going to create this base piece that kind of holds all the petals together of the side view, leaving a little bit of white space and then adding a stem and then doing a bit of the same to the other forward-facing one. Continuing on, adding a little bit of darker spiky leaves. And then once the petals are dry, you can go back in with a darker yellow and add a little bit of dots to the center and some lines on the petals, and that's about it. X is for Xanthisma. I really hope I'm saying that right. Flower alphabet onto the letter Y, let's paint a yarrow. Starting with my size 2 brush, I'm just painting this cluster of yellow dots, leaving some space. Then with some light pink, I'm just creating these 5-petal flowers around those yellow dots. To create that light pink, I just used some permanent rose and some white watercolor. Continue to create these little flowers on both sides. You can leave little bits of white space just so they don't look too clustered, too much like a blob. Then once they're dry, you can take your favorite green and you can create a stem that's just below the little cluster of flowers. Then from that main stem, you are just going to create little stems connecting to each of the flowers. Finally, you're just going to add some little leaves. They're kind of like these little jagged leaves, just like that. And then that's about it. Super simple. Y is for yarrow. Floral alphabet, this is it. Let's paint a zinnia for the letter Z. I start by painting this dotted yellow circle with my size 2 brush. Then once dry, I took some pink and I just started painting these really tiny kind of dotted petals going around. Make sure to leave some white space to create that separation between the petals. Then you can go back in while it's still wet and tap a little bit of darker pink. Let's create a second one. Start with the dotted yellow circle, and then you can create maybe an orange one this time with these small little petals going around. Again, that white space is important. You don't want too much, but too little white space in between the petals. Then taking some dark pink, I'm going to just create some dots inside that yellow circle. Then you're going to take your favorite green, create a couple stems, and then you're just going to create some leaves coming off that stem. I tried to change up the greens just for fun. And that's it. Z is for Zinnia. And we're done. Let me know which flower was your favorite to paint in the series. And if there's a real series you'd like me to try next. Happy painting! Thank you guys so much for watching the video. I really hope you guys liked it and I hope you learned something. I know reels and the short form content aren't for everybody, but this was just a way to put them all together for people who wanted to find all of them. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and that's about it. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.